well as head and neck surgery. Now, our speaker has embraced a holistic approach to medicine, advocating for the profound benefits of low-carb nutrition and therapeutic fasting. With a Doctor of Medicine degree from the Cebu Institute of Medicine, she has dedicated her career to not just treating symptoms, but addressing the root causes of illness through natural and sustainable lifestyle changes. As the Medical Director of JGC, Rojo Medical and Surgical Services, she continues to impact lives by integrating traditional medical practices with innovative wellness strategies. Please welcome Dr. Josephine Grace Rojo Tan.
Hi, sir. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. And we will start our health and wellness lecture today. So the title of the topic was Healthy Eating, Which Diet Suits You Best? And tackling specifically on ketogenic diet, low-carb diet, and intermittent fasting. My name is Dr. Josephine Grace Rojo Tan. I am an ENT, facial plastic surgeon, but I also advocate low-carb nutrition and intermittent fasting. And before I begin my lecture, I would like to take this opportunity to thank our spearhead, Ms. Cory Quirino, and of course, all of the organizers for inviting me to be a part of this very, very beautiful event. So, aside from that, I'm also an author. I wrote 3 books, which is available in Amazon. Perfect at Last book series on weight, health, and wellness. And for my disclaimer, no copyright infringement intended for all the stock photos that I use, no financial obligation to disclose, and treat this talk as an educational material, not a substitute for your medical advice. Still consult your doctor for any personal medical concerns. Okay, so this is the outline of my talk. Moving forward, before I begin, I would like to talk about a little about elephants. So if any one of you have seen elephant, you know how magnificent and beautiful they are. But there is this one zoo owner who was somewhat confused why his elephants only die at a very young age. So he asked researchers to get to know more. Why is it that elephants in the wild last longer? Why do they live longer as compared to the ones in the zoo or in the circus? Because that's not good for business. For him, he's buying elephant almost every decade, every so often. However, the elephants in the wild live longer. Now, the researchers found out that the difference would be on their activity and their diet. If you've been to countries with elephant feeding, they're always being fed with banana, with fruits, and all of these other very yummy foods for the elephant. But you know what's the natural food for elephant? Yes, it can be fruit, but it's only very seldom do they encounter fruit in the wild. What they mostly eat were just grasses, bushes, and even twigs and barks of the tree. So they eat wood. So that's why at the end of their lives, elephants in the wild live as long as 56 years. And elephants in captivity only live up to 17 years. So that is like 300%, 3 times more than the ideal, normal lifespan of elephant. Why am I talking about that? Because now they label that it's because of the captive diet that makes elephant live less, and it's the wild diet that the elephant live long. But if you think about it, why do you call it wild? Because they are in the wild? When in fact, what you can call it actually is their natural diet. So I hope you keep this in mind because this concept is also very important as we look into our own kind of diet as we live. Try to see if what you've been eating is a captive diet or a wild diet. So, nutrition and health, we just need to remember how we used to be. And this is from 200 million years. 200 million sounds very, very long. It's so hard to imagine. But that's how long we've been evolving on Earth. So we are actually hunters for 200 million years. As hunters, do you think you have food in the morning? Do you think you have breakfast available? There's Grab Food Panda. You think you can just eat 24/7? Of course not. There's no refrigeration. There's no means to preserve food. You just eat during the day. And maybe if you're successful, you can eat around noontime and only before dark because nighttime poses a lot of danger. So if you will think about it, people before, our ancestors, only eat for a short period of time during the day, not whole day. There's no midnight snacks. There's no dessert after dinner. There's no early breakfast. There's no in-between meals. It's just a full meal during a short period of the day. And remember what signals food bring to our body. Whenever you eat sugar and certain carbs that also increase blood sugar, it will signal your body that it's already harvest season. But harvest season, remember, by nature only happens once a year. But if you have been eating sugar all day, every day, you're signaling your body that it's harvest season all day, every day. And harvest season usually makes your body pile up fats. It stores fats. It stores those sugar, carbs. Yes, the sugar and carbs can actually be converted into fats because that's our body's way, supposedly in preparation for the winter time. Wherein winter or non-harvest season, you should be burning those fats. But if you haven't been fasting and you've just been consuming all of these carbs and sweets, then you are signaling your body that you're on perpetual harvest season. And that's why from a little overweight, eventually you can become obese. Some don't become obese, but they develop diabetes, hypertension, and many more, which we will touch in a little while. How about fats? When your body is consuming fats for energy, and yes, it's not just glucose that your body can fuel onto, hindi lang po glucose yung only source of energy natin. Yung Go foods that we were taught in elementary, it's not the only source of energy. In fact, research shows that our body operates more when it's fueling on fats, especially ketones. If you've been on perpetual rice intake, and if that happens in your family, if you have elderly in your family and they become makakalimutin, they have dementia, they have Alzheimer's, try to look at their rice intake. Try to look at their grain intake. Tinapay, bread, pandesal, corn, all of those grains, because when our brain is always fueling on glucose, it has this garbage that is being left into our brain that is now causing dementia and problems in its processing. Alzheimer's disease is now considered as type 3 diabetes. It's like diabetes in the brain. And our brain fuels or works better if it's fueling on ketones. You can consider it as different source of energy. If glucose will have a lot of carbon footprint, marami siyang basura like uling. After using uling, yes, you were able to cook, you were able to heat your food, but it will have a lot of abo. But if you use electric energy, if you use nuclear energy, it will give you a boost of energy, but without traces of those garbage. So that's the difference between using glucose and using ketones as energy. And whenever you're using ketones or fats for energy, your body feels like it's winter season. It's time to use up all those fats that you've been saving during those harvest season. So if ever you've been on perpetual harvest season all your life, try to consider that maybe it's time to make your body experience what it's been waiting for, and that is winter season, or just through fasting or intermittent fasting. And lastly, proteins, the very fundamental of our building blocks. It is usually a signal of hunting season, which comprises majority of the time that we live in a year. So protein is very important. It is important to reassure our body that there's enough food, there's enough sustenance, especially for women who want to be pregnant. You want to reassure your body that you can carry on your baby up to term. So hunting season comprises most times. So we say that you can eat some sugar if you like, but not all year round. Okay? And then you can skip from those high carb foods and focus more on proteins and fats the remaining times of the year. And how about rice? Agricultural revolution. So if you compare 2,200,000,000 years or just 50 million, you compare it to 10,000. 10,000 is very small. And 10,000 years was just the time that we started eating rice and other grains because that's the start of agricultural revolution. Okay? So if we are to lump our existence as humans into 1 year, all of our existence, the whole 364 days, we've been eating meat. We've been eating red meat, and we've been foraging, eating nuts and seeds. It's only yesterday, it's only the last day that we've started eating grains, rice, corn, and bread. And we've only been started eating sugar, refined sugar, 1 hour ago. So that's why our body is really not used to eating these sugary foods. Our body is used to process fats and proteins coming from hunting and foraging, and it's not adapted to chronic high carbohydrate intake from all of these foods that we now take in almost every day. Simply put, we've been eating way too much sugar than we should. And sugar is hiding in plain sight. Every time we hear sugar, we just think of white sugar. But what white sugar really is it just the white sugar? Actually, bread is sugar, rice is sugar, and pasta is sugar, fruit is sugar, cereal is sugar. Even your beloved oatmeal, it's still sugar. So, is this true? How can this be true? Bread is not sweet, pasta is not sweet. How can they be sugar? It is because sugar is made up of fructose and glucose. Glucose is a simple form of carbohydrate. And those other foods that I mentioned are actually starch. Starch is a complex carbohydrates. If we will to illustrate it in money, starch is like paper bills. It's like 1,000 pesos in paper bill. When you have 1,000 pesos in your pocket, you can barely feel that you have 1,000 pesos in weight, right? Because it's very light. However, if you have 1,000 pesos in coins, you can certainly feel that it's quite heavy. So coins are actually like the glucose or the simple form of sugar. You can feel it very sweet, and it's a very, sometimes you can feel the guilt immediately because you can feel its taste. However, starch is not like that. But if you notice, if you chew your rice more than 30 times, you can eventually feel that it's starting to taste sweet because your lingual enzymes are already breaking it down, and you can already taste its sugar size. To illustrate, remember that 1 teaspoon, isang kutsarita ng white sugar, will be equivalent to 4 grams net carbs. Yung net carbs po is the total amount of fully digestible carbohydrates within a product. So it can be the glucose that will spike your blood sugar later on, or it can be fructose that can be converted into many other things in your liver. Isang cup ng rice, merong 53 grams of carbs. Minus fiber, let's say fiber is 1. So that's actually 52 divided by 4. Okay? So let's say your cup is not very full. Light lang, nasa 40. 40 divided by 4. So that's 10. Every time you eat 1 cup of white rice, you're actually consuming an equivalent to 10 teaspoons of white sugar. So, you are avoiding putting sugar in your coffee, in your drinks. Hindi ka na kumakain ng desserts na matatamis, pero ilang rice ang nauubos mo in a day. If 1 cup of rice will have 10 teaspoons of white sugar, Tapos, kumakain ka ng 3 cups of rice a day. That's equivalent to 30 teaspoons of white sugar in a day. Can you imagine consuming 30 teaspoons of white sugar? Hindi, di ba? Hindi kaya. But if they are in the form of starch, matabang, guilt-free, hindi mo aakalain, gano'n na pala. When you're young, you can accommodate it. You're still growing, you're very active, but sooner or later by the time you reach 30s, 40s, dun na, nakakaramdam na ng lumalaki na yung tiyan, sumasakit na yung bewang, sumasakit na yung joints. So all of those, sometimes nagiging mas makakalimutin, and yung iba parating na napapagod. When did you start craving for massage? Those need for massage are actually just coming from inflammation in your body na hindi matanggal-tanggal ng masahe. Yes, you can feel relaxed right after, but after a day or two, you will want to have another massage again. So it's not really sustainable. So a cup of rice will have at least 10 teaspoons of white sugar. How about brown rice? So brown rice will have more fiber than white rice. So -1 teaspoon siguro. But otherwise, it's still gonna be loaded with sugar still. It's still gonna be loaded with glucose the moment it will reach your system. How about fruit? Sinong fruit lover dito? We were brought up to eat more fruits, di ba? Sometimes it is already considered as healthy. You were eating a lot of unhealthy foods, junk foods, and then fast foods. But at the end of it all, kumain ka ng saging, ng banana. Feeling mo healthy ka na because kumain ka ng saging. Or yung iba pa, kumakain ng saging ng buong buo. Ilang pieces ng saging yung kayang ubusin in a day. Sometimes others, they can finish 5 or 10 in a day. Yes, fruits will have lots of vitamins and minerals, but what we sometimes fail to remember, fruits also contains a lot of sugar, fruit sugar, which is fructose. And fructose is known to increase the levels of triglycerides in your liver. I've had a talk in Mindanao, and they were so surprised because a lot of them are very thin, petite female, but they have a lot of cases with fatty liver. Payat pero may fatty liver. And what have they been eating? They've been having a basket of fruits all day, every day, all year round. So too much fruits, okay? Too much fruits is not okay. Just like, for example, 1 apple will contain approximately 6 teaspoons of white sugar equivalent. Okay? And it's okay if that's the only carb you will take in a day. But remember, who eats only apple? Apple together with fruit juice, with soft drinks, with milk tea, with cake. So it's too much. Remember, fruits are not naturally available all year round. And now, our society gives us the impression that fruits can be eaten, even those fruits that are not available in our locality. Have you seen an apple tree in the Philippines? An orange tree in the Philippines? Wala, di ba? But we've been consuming it as if it's being grown in our own backyard. So remember that one. Fruits are natural or healthy, but they are not naturally available all day, every day. So why do we need to lower our blood sugar levels? Why am I so loud when it comes to lowering our carbohydrate intake? It is because chronic elevated blood sugar leads to insulin resistance. What is insulin resistance? Why should I care about insulin resistance? Because among the many root causes of illness today, the seed oil, sedentary lifestyle, refined carbohydrates, lack of sleep, sugar, ultra-processed food, chronic stress, they have one common trunk, and that is insulin resistance. And insulin resistance, and try to remember if you or anyone you love has any one of these illnesses: migraines, PCOS, osteoarthritis, dementia, arthritis, obesity, inflammation, heart disease, erectile dysfunction for males, sarcopenia, stroke, high blood pressure, fatty liver, cancers, gout, Alzheimer's disease, and just shortened lifespan. So all of these, practically all of the illness that we know today can be coming from insulin resistance. And the very controllable factor that we can manipulate is our sugar intake. So what now? So now we will discuss what we were told to eat the Pinggang Pinoy. Are you familiar with the Pinggang Pinoy? So this is actually being advocated by our government. I know they mean well, and I know this is coming from their love and concern to us. However, I don't agree that it's the healthiest kind of meal that we should be following. And I will discuss why. So Pinggang Pinoy is a food guide using food plate model to show the recommended proportion by food groups in every meal intended specifically for healthy Filipinos. So GROW would be proteins, and then GLOW would be vegetables and fruits, and then GO is usually carbohydrates. This is the one where the research or the paper where it was developed. So they have this protein component, total fat component, carbohydrate component by percentage. This is the recommendation. And it just means it's too much carbohydrates and too little proteins. Meron silang mga sample like torta omelette with tomato juice, Baguio bean stew with shrimp, honey oatmeal with energy bites, puchero pork with chop suey. Ang ending nito, you will have 132 grams of carbohydrates in a day. So 132 grams would be equivalent to 32 teaspoons of white sugar in a day. And that's the recommended by our government. And the protein, 3 grams each, so a total of 12. So that's just 12 grams of proteins in a day. At minimum, on average, we should be consuming 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. Kung ano yung timbang ninyo, that's the in grams ng proteins na kailangan natin. So, say for example, if you're 50 kilos, you need at least 50 grams of proteins in a day para hindi ka mangayayat, para hindi ka mag-muscle wasting, para ma-preserve mo yung vital organs mo, especially as you age. And if you will multiply that, ang 50 grams na protein na yan, usually, nasa times 4 niyan is in kilocalories, and times 4 niyan would be the weight in raw weight ng pagkain. Okay? So, say for example, 1/4 kilo ng karne ay merong 1/4 kilo, that's 250 grams ng karne, meron siyang mga nasa 50 grams ng protein. So, minimum, dapat at least 1/4 kilo of meat, of raw meat yung makakain sa araw-araw. That's minimum. If you want to improve your muscle density, you can go as high as twice than that. But this one is just 12. Unless yung ginawang sample nito ay 12 kilos lang, which is quite impossible. This is the reason why Filipinos are known to be very active, very energetic because of all the carbs that we are eating. It's almost bordering ADHD. Kahit adult na, parang may ADHD pa. And that is also the reason why Filipinos are not so tall. Kahit lakas-lakas kumain, hindi tumataas. Because height and development of children must come from proteins, from amino acids. And ano yung pinapakain sa mga bata? Suam, lugaw, fruits, which are all devoid of proteins. This is the reason why we are perpetually cute people. So, yon. We are being advised to consume equivalent to 32 teaspoons of white sugar in a day based on Pinggang Pinoy platter. And that, no wonder why it is now considered normal for us to develop diabetes, for us to have loved ones who will eventually have maintenance medications. It's like a normal process for us na at a certain age, magtatanungan na, so ano ng maintenance mo? Ilan yung maintenance mo para sa high blood, para sa diabetes? When in fact, it's not supposed to be that way. Top 10 causes of death in the Philippines includes ischemic heart disease, stroke, infection, CKD, TB, diabetes, and many other. Diabetes may rank number 6 because diabetes actually don't directly kill you. It's the complications of diabetes that will kill you. And those complications would still be heart attack, strokes, and those others that you can see there. So, it's still coming from insulin resistance. Approximately 6% of the total population in the Philippines, or 6 million Filipinos, has been diagnosed now with diabetes. And what's more alarming is that for every one Filipino na nadadiagnose, merong isang Filipino na hindi niya alam na meron din siyang diabetes. So at minimum, this number could actually be double. So Pinggang Pinoy, what do you think is it? Is it a wild or captive diet? It's captive diet. So as much as we are very happy to follow it because it's cheap, but eventually, which is cheaper? Saving for everyday food or saving your life in the future? So what can we do instead? So simple, reverse insulin resistance by lowering your body's need for insulin. So paano yan? Paano mo gagawin yan? Your body increases insulin, secretes insulin every time you eat sugar. When you eat protein, it also secretes insulin, but not so much. So do it by eliminating the very trigger of insulin release, lower carbohydrate intake, and other inflammatory, like processed fats, like vegetable oil, those factory-made oils, seed oils, that also lead to insulin resistance. And this is the part where we tackle the other different kinds of diet that lowers insulin resistance. Number one of which would be ketogenic diet. And ketogenic diet is known to reduce inflammation, practically all the effects that insulin resistance produce. Improved fat burning, mental clarity and sharpness, abundant energy, clear skin, reduced cravings, mitochondrial biogenesis, meaning you'll be way younger, you'll look and feel younger than your normal age, anti-aging effects, and reduces risk of chronic diseases. Ketogenic diet will make you eat more fats. Why eat more fats? Because among the 3 macronutrients, it's only the fats that will not trigger insulin release. So fats will be converted into energy, and protein will be preserved in your body, and carbs is just for happiness, for your option if you want it, but it's actually not necessary. So what is keto really? So both of these food groups both plates are all keto. This one are all meat and eggs and dairies. But if you don't want that, if you don't want a carnivore kind of keto, you can consume still with vegetables, just the low carb vegetables that you can eat. So this is the pathway of ketogenic diet, wherein mostly it's from ketosis, from production of ketone bodies that will be used by your body to burn energy, to be used as energy. So health conditions that can be helped by ketogenic diet: Alzheimer's disease, epilepsy, glycogen storage diseases, migraines, cancer, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver, multiple sclerosis, brain injury, autism, obesity, PCOS, GLUT1, diabetes type 1 and 2, and Parkinson's disease. Known benefits from keto. So there are just do's and don'ts. Just don't do it directly. Try to research about it first. Try to make sure that you have someone who is knowledgeable with ketogenic diet if ever you want to start doing it. But if ever you cannot do that, especially if that we've been brainwashed not to eat fats, so you don't need to do ketogenic diet. What you can do is just low carb diet. So low carb, ketogenic diet is actually low carb, but it's a very, very low carb, kind of low carb. What we usually just promote is just moderate carb, which is 20 to 50 grams of carbs per day. That's a sample meal that you have. And for those others who are not yet ready to let go of all the carbs, you can just do a liberal low carb of 50 to 100 grams of carbs per day. Carb counting is easy, but may not be easy to learn, or it can be taxing for the ones who are still starting. So just know what are the high carb kind of vegetables and fruits that you should avoid, and just know the safe ones. So per 100 grams of lettuce, you will only have 2 grams of net carbs. So if you consume 1 kilo, for example, of lettuce in a day, that's just 20 grams of net carbs. It's like the carbs that you can see in half rice. So half rice carbs equivalent to the carbs of 1 kilo lettuce. So, di ba? Sobrang dami nun. I don't think anybody can finish that. So we also have a food list that you can follow. You can check it in my website, JGRTanMD, so you can grab this list, stick to the safe list, especially when starting. Hard to go overboard with carb limit, and you can eat until you are satisfied. So eat all you want, meat, lechon, roast beef, seafoods if you like. You can have all that, chicken, but just pair it with low carb vegetables if you need to. No need for rice or bread. So for beginners, just find a rice replacement para wag mag-spike yung insulin natin. Snack replacement instead of mga tinapay, biskwit, mga crackers. Try to have boiled eggs or meat or pork chop. You can feel satisfied longer, and eventually you by 2 weeks hindi mo na kakailanganin ng snacks in between. Baka 2 meals a day na lang, you will feel a lot better na. Minimum protein needs for an average person would be about half kilo of meat in a day. That's raw weight. Okay, yung hilaw pa. And then kapag naluto na, so that's okay. So imagine if 1 kilo yung isang lechon manok, so kalahating lechon manok, half kilo yan, ubusin nyo sa isang araw. So if it's 2 meals or 3 meals, pwede yon. At least you will cover your minimum protein intake and add some vegetables if you like, kung gutom pa. So best practice for at least 2 weeks plus intermittent fasting. I hope you are available, I hope you're knowledgeable with intermittent fasting. Dinidivide lang natin yung intermittent fast, yung araw sa dalawang window, eating window and fasting window. So say for example, 12-12, kung yung last kain mo sa gabi is alas 7 ng gabi, by morning, 7 o'clock ng umaga, pwede ka na mag-breakfast. And then you can eat the whole day. And hopefully, you will eat low-carb meals during the whole day and increase your salt intake when you do IF or low-carb because we tend to lose more salt and water as we do it. Yung mga nanginginig, nanghihina, nagkakaroon ng fainting spells when they're doing IF, it's because they have low sodium, low water, dehydrated yon. So increase more your salt and water intake when you do low carb, keto, and intermittent fasting. So if you're done with 12-12, maybe you can move forward to 14-10 or even longer depending how much weight you need to lose. If wala naman kailangan weight loss, then 12-12 is already okay. Hindi na kailangan patagalin pa. So if you want to lose a little more, you can fast longer then. Okay? And fasting benefits, it's practically somewhat all the same with keto and low carb. It's just that it is done by food elimination. So weight loss for those who want to lose weight, heal digestion problems, increase insulin sensitivity, slow aging, and many more. So I will just wrap up because our time is almost up. So what to monitor? These are the things that you can monitor. And of course, it's best to work with a physician if ever you know someone who is knowledgeable with low carb and intermittent fasting para safe kayo. So applicability, normal adult, pwedeng moderate low carb. If ever physically active, pwedeng mas liberal low carb. And IF definitely is okay. Kung overweight, pwedeng keto, pwedeng moderate muna, and IF, pwede din. Sa adult with illness, pwedeng mag-keto, pero dapat may guidance. Low carb is very, very safe, and you can do IF, but only when your body is already telling you na kaya mo na mag-fast. Huwag ipagsabay yung fasting at saka low carb kapag nagsisimula pa lang, and especially may merong medications because you might need to lower your medicine, especially yung mga diabetic medications, or else baka mag-hypoglycemia kayo, not because of low carb, but because of overdose na ng medicine na you no longer need. Marami na kaming pasyente na from insulin requiring, nawala ng insulin ngayon, from maraming maintenance, 10 maintenance medications, nawala na ngayon. So congratulations. For elderly, moderate low carb is okay. IF, okay lang din, minimum 12 hours lang, hindi kailangan pwersahin. Children, moderate low carb is okay, especially kung mataba, kung kailangan talaga mag-lose weight. Liberal, kung healthy lang naman. IF can be done, but hindi kailangang pwersahin, just like in pregnant and breastfeeding women. So, pregnant and breastfeeding women, you may fast, pero hindi kailangang pilitin. Just don't force yourself to eat, especially if hindi gutom. So yun lang, there are many ways and means to be healthy. Keto, low carb, IF are just one of the many tools you can do. And in addition, of course, to exercise, mindfulness, positive thinking, sun exposure, grounding, all of those things work. So pair it up with proper nutrition. But if what you are doing doesn't work for you, maybe these options are worth a try to achieve a healthier you. I've been doing low carb and intermittent fasting for 5 years now, and I've been treating patients, cancer, CKD, diabetes, hypertension, and many, many more. Vertigo at marami pang iba for the last 5 years, and they've been benefiting from low carb and intermittent fasting. Personally, I've also have countless of testimonials of why I do it, but my recent fit would be pregnancy. I've been doing surgery at 39 weeks, and that was 2 weeks ago. And 1 week ago, I delivered my first baby via cesarean section, and I'm here today in front of you. So, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat. This is Dr. Josephine Grace Rojotan, known as Diet Doctora. If ever you wanna come and meet with me, magkakaroon tayo ng meet and greet and book signing event on March 16. So if ever you wanna join, just scan that QR at magkakaroon tayo ng meet and greet section in Taguig. Maraming salamat po. Have a good day, everyone, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tan. Doctor, let's stay here on stage momentarily. You have a very fascinating topic. I'm pretty sure our audience members here have a question. Doc, I have a question of my own. What I've noticed is, and I've spoken to my friends about this, it's really hard to be healthy because it turns out that the healthy foods are expensive. The foods that are salty, oily, they're not expensive, they're very affordable. What can you say about this?
So it's a matter of you knowing what's healthy or not healthy. So with the food list that we've shown, you can actually live by just 100 peso a day. Then what's 100
Okay.
peso? Any fish that is 100 per kilo. There are fish that's less than 100 per kilo, di ba?
Yes.
You can consume that. Just that, 1 kilo of fish in a day. That's
100,
already...
you said 100 pesos?
100 pesos. There are fish, yung mga maliliit,
Yes.
those are the healthiest kinds of fish. They are low in mercury, high in calcium,
Right.
and then high in proteins.
Yes.
And then you can consume that in a day. 100 pesos, you can fry it using coconut oil. You
Yes.
know that's the healthiest oil that we have. And practically, that's all you need. The misconception that you need healthy food, you think na it should be organic, it should be expensive, it should be kung ano-ano man.
Yes.
But all those you can grow in your backyard. You can just
Okay.
grow, hindi kailangan ng lettuce. You can just have kangkong, which you can grow in your pot, I've grown alugbate and many other plants in the surrounding pot of my bougainvillea plant. So
Did
there's
you do this during the
always a way.
pandemic? Did you start
Yes.
this during the pandemic? Okay.
I started this one before pandemic, but I've been planting
A
those
Dr.
during
Plantita. All right, there
yes,
you go.
plantita during pandemic.
Doc, I don't want to put you on the spot, but
It's
I
okay.
don't know if you've seen this in your social media accounts or internet, but there's a proliferation now of, and I don't want to attack anybody's livelihood here, but there's a proliferation now of food bloggers, the short films, and what I noticed is this particular one, it just struck me. 100 pesos, okay, may soft drinks, may only rice, and yung pares. So I'm like, 100 pesos, it's so attractive,
Yeah.
right? But I'm thinking to myself, only rice,
Yeah.
white rice. But you see that, it's a quite complicated subject matter because our fellow Filipinos, very affordable talk eh. Tapos, nandun na, uupo ka lang, you wait for the server to give you your food. 100 pesos daw,
Yeah.
only rice, may
Yeah.
soft drinks pa. So, I'm like thinking to
Yeah.
like what you're talking about, the effects, diabetes,
Yeah.
hypertension, and eventually obesity.
Yeah. Because if you are not aware of these things,
Yes.
you are just after being full. So if we don't know any better, ang pinaka-target ng mga ganyang marketing would
Yes.
be students or yung daily wage workers,
Yes.
to which they will feel full. But actually eating these kind of food, it's not going to be cheap in the long run, because after 2 hours you will be hungry again. Whereas
Exactly.
whereas if you eat mostly proteins,
Yes.
meat, you can eat and you can live at 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day. And just that, it's already enough. Even when I was pregnant, I can eat just 2 meals a day and I'm already satisfied.
Yes.
Because you will not be always striving to retain that glucose level, which rice, soft drinks will give. It will give you that spike and then go down, and then you need to reach for it again. So try to ask them. After 2 hours, they will start looking for another food. That scheme is very, very good for business, but not for health, because the body will keep on craving. It's an addiction. It's a sugar addiction. That
Even the marketing, Doc, the way they present the food, talaga,
Oo,
wow, okay,
nakakatakam.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Yung slow motion
Yeah.
technique,
Oo.
like with the soup or the whatever, the meat,
Yeah.
tapos inihiwa na yung bituka ng baboy, like prito, Doc, eh. I mean, you know,
Oh. It's natural
again,
for
I'm not
us.
attacking anybody's
Yeah.
livelihood, but I'm
And-
just saying,
And with low carb, you can eat prito. I eat prito almost every day using coconut oil. Using coconut oil,
Very
and
good.
it's okay.
Yeah, you know, Doc, also another observation. Sometimes I get to watch doctors who specialize in diabetes, and they say that it's a silent epidemic. That there's a huge number of Filipinos suffering from diabetes.
Yes, that is true. And just the difference now when it comes to management, I know a lot of doctors are not yet very in agreement with low carb, but low carb nutrition is now considered as one of the medical nutrition therapy of American Diabetes Association. So 9 kinds of diet, 3 of those diets is low carb. Kaya nga lang medyo huli tayo sa Pilipinas. So baka i-recommend yan ng doktor nyo, baka in 10 years time pa, which is might be a little too late na. So that's why we are very aggressive in informing everyone that it's okay to let go of the rice. Kaya lang yung rice sa atin, it's cultural, it's emotional,
Oo nga, Doc,
merong
mas sinasabi,
attachment.
Pilipino ka, babalik ka nagkakanin?
Oo, may ganon.
Sino ka?
And that's why we have a group in Facebook na called Life Without Rice. And Filipinos, almost 500,000 Filipinos post their food every day without rice. And they are
Very good.
doing well. They are doing well. So you can get inspiration, food
But the
inspiration
community is
from
growing,
there.
Doc. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
it's growing. And hindi kailangang mahal. You can
Okay.
just have galunggong. 2 galunggong, and then gulay, itlog. That's
Alright.
very cheap.
Doc, I'm gonna go there out sa audience area. Baka may tanong yung mga audience members natin. May tanong ba for Dr. Tan? Just raise your hand. I'll go to where you are. All right, honey, wait for me. What's your name, ma'am?
Yes, I'm Arlene.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Doc. I have a question about how to avoid Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
For the healthy diet about
Okay.
the food
Okay.
process.
Oo. May
Because-
family history ba ng Alzheimer's?
Not yet. Pero
Okay.
syempre, ako po 45 years old na. And I have a business.
Mm-mm.
Lagi ako nagigising for 2 a.m. So, minsan nakakalimot. But, syempre, ako din yung nag-prepare
Ng food.
our food, diba? Then, din ako raw herbs.
Ah.
But, syempre, merong chili. And, yun po yung question ko,
Okay.
how to avoid Alzheimer's disease.
Okay.
talaga.
So,
For the food.
as what I mentioned a while ago, Alzheimer's disease is now considered as type 3 diabetes. It's like diabetes in the brain, okay? So it's still high in sugar. So avoidance of sugar, avoidance of rice and grains, yun talaga yun. And you might want to fuel your brain with healthy fats, ketones. So supplementing with virgin coconut oil, 1 tablespoon 3 times a day can help, together with avoidance of high carb intake, or kung hindi man, just use coconut oil in your food. Meron na yan. That's already good enough.
Doc, advisable po ba yung lagi may mga supplementary vitamins like that?
If you can eat variety of foods every day, it's not necessary. Okay? And meron tayong food list. If you can stick to the safe list, it's not necessary. However, we know na hindi rin ganon kadali yung magkaroon ng variety of foods on a daily basis. So that's why from not really into multivitamins, I accommodate intake of multivitamins. Any multivitamins is okay. Kung susobra man, iihi mo lang yon. So as long as you can afford it, then it's okay. Pang ano lang, security blanket. Okay, welcome
Thank you,
po.
Doctor. One more question. One more. Here.
Hi, Doc.
Hello.
I'm really amazed with your talk. I've been looking for diets. Like, I'm also a cellular nutrition specialist. I look forward to collaborating anyway. So one thing, so for most people, they all have a hard time to let go of their especially on a cheat day. Yeah. So how were you able to bring them from point A to point B, that they will be having craving pa rin na you will stick to their own diet? What is the process?
Okay. So, usually, titingnan mo muna kung saan yung starting mo. If you are starting from a very unhealthy diet na all danger list, so milk tea sa umaga, and then yung mga fraps, and then every meal meron pang dessert, tapos nagra-rice pa, try to look at your food intake and eliminate one at a time. You don't need to go all out. Kasi minsan all out ka sa simula, very successful ka 1 week, after nyan, hindi ka na babalik. Kasi feeling mo, deprived ka, at malungkot ka na. So, just one at a time. You can just do that. So, maybe identify first, ano yung pinaka-ultra processed foods that you have. Kasi remember, what you are always eating will be the same foods that you will always be craving. So if you are always eating unhealthy foods, you are bound to be addicted to them and keep on eating them. So if you already recognize na hindi sila healthy, I think that's already good enough start for you to convince yourself to not indulge in that too much. Marami tayong nakilalang nag-low carb, naging successful, pero eventually bumalik. Pero yung sabi ko, kahit pa bumalik ka sa pagkain ng rice, at least you're not considering only rice anymore. From only rice, naging 2 cups na lang, or 1 na lang, or half na lang, may ganong improvement. So, and always focus on the positive side. Don't always focus na, uy, hindi ako nakapag-IF today, uy, nakakain ako ng ganito. Always focus on your achievements na kahit pa nakakain ako ng wrapper ng lumpia, pero at least di ko na kinakain yung buong rice. Diba? So always give your positive. It's one foot at a time, one step at a time. That will already go a long way than having no awareness at all. So education, educate yourself, learn which foods are the most damaging, and try to eliminate them little by little. Okay?
Thank you very much. Palakpakan po natin nila, Dr. Josephine Grace Rojo-Tan. Dr. Tan, we're going to present you a plaque of appreciation. We'd like to call on Ms. Tori Quirino and Ms. Vilma, ma'am. Join us on stage. All right.
Hello, ma'am. Very good. Thank you. Ay, ang cute.
Oh, by the way, over at the Department of
Very
Tourism,
cute.
meron po silang yoga session happening there, libre. Over at the Department of Tourism booth, yoga session for free. Ayan, we also have a gift bag,
Thank you. Wow, Basil. Thank
our
you.
token of
Thank
appreciation
you
for
so
Dr. Tan.
much.
One more shoot daw.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you,
Yes,
Ms. Vilma.
yes.
Thank you, Dr. Tan.